Welcome to online discussion on Transfer of Property Act. Let us discuss the provisions of Section 130 of the Transfer of Property Act regarding transfer of actionable claim. What is actionable claim? Actionable claim has been defined in Section 3 of the Transfer of Property, that is interpretation clause. Interpretation. How it has been defined? Actionable claims means a claim to any debt, a claim for a debt, other than a debt secured by mortgage of immovable property or hypothecation or place of movable property. Hypothecation or place. What is hypothecation? You must have seen goods are sometimes it is displayed in a shop that the stock hypothecated to State Bank of India. Hypothecation is something that there the goods or the property which is purchased in the loan advanced by the bank, that is hypothecated, that in case of default, the bank can seize those goods and recover the dues by selling those goods or by selling a particular vehicle that has been hypothecated. You know, place is a bailment of goods. What is contract of bailment? When goods is delivered to another with a condition that again will be redelivered to that person after a particular purpose, that is a contract of bailment. When contract of bailment is made for security of payment of money, then that we say place. That is, in the loose term, we say it is a mortgage, but that's not a mortgage, it is called place. So, actionable claim means a claim to any debt. It is a claim to any type of debt, other than a debt secured by mortgage or hypothecation of place of movable property, or to any beneficial interest in movable property not in possession, either actual or constructive, of the claimant. The person has a beneficial interest on any property, the movable property, not immovable property, any beneficial interest in the movable property of another, which is not under actual or constructive possession of the claimant. Not only that, which the civil court recognize as affording grounds for relief. The civil court must recognize that claim, that there is a ground for relief, whether such debt or beneficial interest be existing, whether such debt or existing debt, accruing from time to time it will accrue, or conditional or with some condition, such debt is entitled, or contingent. So we should understand the definition of actionable claim. Thereafter we should discuss. It will be easy for you to learn what is, how an actionable claim is a transfer. You just, for an example, actionable claim is a claim when an insurance policy is there. Insurance policy is an actionable claim. So what is, in case of insurance, that if some losses takes place of a goods takes place, then the person who has insured the good is entitled to recover the value of the goods or the value of the loss from them. That's a claim to a debt. Or any beneficial interest in movable property. Here, actionable claim means a claim to any debt. It is a claim to a debt first. That debt is not secured by mortgage, hypothecation, or place. Mortgage of immovable property, hypothecation place of movable property, or any beneficial interest on any movable property not in possession of the claimant, either actual or constructive, which the civil code recognizes as a ground for relief, to give relief to the claimant. Whether such debt is existing debt, or is a conditional debt, contingent debt, or existing, accruing, etc. So if that is an actionable claim, is a property. So once an actionable claim is a property. So that's why the transfer of actionable claim is governed under the provisions of Transfer of Property Act. What it says, how a transfer of actionable claim can be transferred. Such a transfer may be for consideration or may be without consideration. Suppose somebody gives gift of an action claim. That is without consideration. When somebody takes some money and transfers it, that is for consideration. How it is affected? All transfer of claim, this actionable claim is to be affected only by a document in writing. Registration is not required. Registration is not compulsory. Document of transfer is, there must be a document and must be in writing. In writing, there must be a written document. What is that? The transfer of an actionable claim, whether with or without consideration, shall be effected, such a transfer shall be effected only by the execution of an instrument in writing, signed by the transferor or his duly authorized agent. So, transfer of an actionable claim can be effected, can be made only by a document in writing, by an instrument in writing. Instrument in writing signed by the transferor. That document must be signed by this transferor or any other person on his behalf. And it shall be completed and effectual upon the execution of such instrument. The transfer is complete soon after the execution of that document. You know what is execution? To carry out, to execute something. So when the transferor puts his signature in the document in order to agree the terms of the condition of the document, signs it, then that is called execution. He executes the document. So that transfer is complete, shall be complete, and effectual. That will take effect. Shall complete and be effectual upon the execution of such instrument, and thereupon all the rights and remedies of the transferor, what are the rights and remedies of the transfer? Because a debt is transferred, entitlements of some debt. Claim to a debt is transferred, not a debt. Claim to a debt is transferred. Suppose I am entitled to get 1 lakh rupees from another person, and that is a debt. So that is a claim to a debt, for which, and that I transfer it to another person. Then, on executing document of transfer, the transfer is completed and effective. And whatever right I have against the debtor of the debt of which I am transferring, all such rights will pass to the transfer. Rights and liabilities. All such rights. So that's why it provides. And therefore, all the rights and remedies of the transferor, whether by way of damages, whether transferor is entitled for any damages or otherwise, shall be in the transferring. That means under the law of equity, both under law and equity, whatever right and liabilities of the transferor were in respect of that debt which was transferred as an external claim to any debt that was transferred as an external claim, all such rights and liabilities of the transferor passes to the transferee. In other words, the transferee steps into the shoes of the transferor. Whatever right the transferor had on its debtor in respect of a claim to any debt, whatever liabilities were of that transferor to the debtor, all such rights and liabilities simultaneously pass to the transferee. Whether such transfer is either for consideration or without consideration. Besides, whether such notice of transfer as is herein provided be given or not, even if notice of such transfer has not been given to the debtor, in spite of that, that is immaterial. So all the rights and liabilities of the transferor to the transferee by way of damages otherwise shall rest in the provide that every dealing with the debt or other action be claimed by the debtor. Suppose the debtors a claim to a debt that is transferred. But if that debtor, without knowing the fact of transfer, makes any dealing with that person, that means the transferor. In such case, instrument as the aforesaid have been entitled to recover and enforce such debt or other action plan shall save where the debtor or other person is a party to the transfer has received express notice thereof be valued as against such transfer. That means, in other words, should know even after transfer, if a claim to any debt that is transferred by way of action claim, provided that if the original debtor has made any dealing with the transferor in respect of that actionable claim, without knowing the fact of, without notice of the transfer, or if he was not a party, or the original debtor was not a party to the transfer, or that is person is a party to the transfer. If the transfer he was a party, or he was either. If either he was not a party to the transfer and he had no notice of such transfer, if he had made dealing, if he had made any transaction, any dealings, any payments in respect of that debt to the transferor, those payments will hold good. Otherwise, in other words, that those payments will be treated as payment of the debt which has been transferred. This is section 130. So first you should understand section 130 provides how an actionable claim is to be transferred. Actionable claim, whether with consideration or without consideration, can be made only by a document in writing executed by the transferor, the holder, the person who is entitled to get that debt, and signed by him. And on such transfer, on such execution of the document of transfer, all the rights and liabilities of the transferor in respect of that debt to the debtor, that passes to the transferee. The transferee steps into the shoes of the transferor. Further provision is there, saving is there, that if the debtor, original debtor, without knowing the fact of transfer, or if he was not a party to that transfer, he makes any payment, he makes any transaction in respect of that debt with the transferor, then such transaction will be given effect, will be valid. So now subsection 2 provides the transferee of actionable claim may, upon the execution of such instrument of transfer as aforesaid, sue or institute proceeding for the same in his own name without obtaining the transferor's consent to such suit or proceeding and without making him a party thereto. So this is a very important point. Once a transfer has been made of an actionable claim, then the transferee may institute a suit to recover the debt which has been transferred to him in his own name without impeding the transferor of that actionable asset as a party in that suit. This provision says, the transferee of an actionable claim may, upon the execution of such instrument of transfer as aforesaid, sue, either sue or institute proceeding for the same in his own name. He is not required to sue in the name of the original transferor. Or without obtaining the transferor, if consent of the transferor is not required. With his own name, consent of such suit or transferor, consent of such suit or proceeding, and without making him a party thereto. Exception. Nothing in this section applies to the transfer of a marine or fire policy insurance or applies the provision of section 38 of the Insurance Act. So far as Fire Insurance Act is there, marine insurance, this marine insurance are there, those are like actionable claim. But is a person is entitled to claim to a debt. Suppose a person is entitled to get some insurance money. So far those marine insurance, fire insurance are concerned, the provision of section 130 will not be applicable. Now illustration will make you more clear why illustration is given in a section, because illustration clarifies the doubt. You make you more clear. What it says? A owes money to B. Suppose A owes money to B, who transferred the debt to C, then A owes money to B. B transfer that debt, that is the debt which is entitled to recover from A to C. B then demand the debt from A. After transfer, B made a demand of that money from A, who not having received notice, A was not aware that the claim to that debt has been transferred to C, notice of the transfer as prescribed in section 130 pays B. Then C made the entire payment to B. To A. The payment is valid and C cannot sue A for the debt. You are in this case, B transferred the actionable claim to C, but C did not give any notice. But after that, B made a demand of the debt from A, and A accordingly paid the money to B. So in such case, then C cannot recover that money from A, because as per the proviso to section of section 130. Similarly, A effects a policy on his own right with an insurance company and assigns to a bank for securing the payment of an existing or future debt. He had a life insurance company, and he assigned that life insurance policy to a bank for taking loan or for existing loan. Thereafter A dies. Then the legal heirs of A are entitled to get the insurance money. But here, if A dies, the bank is entitled to receive the amount of the policy and to sue on it without the concurrence of A's executor. So without impeding or executors, bank can file a suit to recover the insurance money, subject to the provisions of section 1, section 130. 130 means what? Suppose notice had been given, that is different thing. So 130 subject to provision of section 130 and the provisions of section 132. Now this is how an actionable claim is to be transferred. Now let us understand how when 131, how one notice Notice regarding actionable claim. 130 has been repealed. Notice to be in writing. You know, every notice of transfer, once a notice of transfer is given to the original debtor, then in such case, if any transaction takes place, if any repayment of that loan takes place between the debtor and the transferor, then that will not be treated as binding on the transfer. So long notice has not been given, if any payments have been made, then in such case, those are to be valid payments of the debtor. So that's why section 131 provides notice to be given in writing. What it says? Every notice of transfer of an actionable claim shall be in writing. There cannot be an oral notice. Oral notice of transfer is not permitted as per law. So notice regarding transfer of an actionable claim must be in writing, signed by the transferor or his agent duly authorized. Either the transferor will sign or any other person duly authorized by on his behalf he will sign. Or in case the transferor refuses to sign, suppose, or in case the transferor refuses to sign, so that notice is to meant by whom? Notice will be in writing. That notice is not to be signed by the transferee. That notice is to be signed by the transferor. The transferor must sign, or his agent duly authorized that, or in case the transferor refuses to sign, by the transferee or his agent. So notice regarding transfer of actionable claim, which is to be given in writing, that is to be signed by the transferor or by his duly authorized. Suppose the transferor refuses to sign that notice. Transferor refuses to sign that notice. Then in such case, the transferee or his agent can sign and shall state the name and address of the transferee. Not only that notice also state the name and address of the transferee must be mentioned in the notice. So who will give notice? Notice is to give him obviously by the transferee. But law requires that notice at first requirement is that the notice must be signed by the transferor, he who transfers, or by his duly authorized. If he refuses to sign that notice, to whom that notice is to give? That notice is to given to the debtor. In respect to whom there will be a claim of debt. That notice is to given. If the transferor refuses to sign, then such notice is to be signed by the transferee and shall state the name and address of the transferee. This is section 131. Now section 132 says, liability of transferee of actionable claim. As you know, on transfer of an actionable claim, this transferee steps into the shoes of the transferor. He is liable equally for the right, whatever rights and liabilities were in respect of that debt of the transferor. Also rights and liabilities passes to the transferee. So section 132 says, liability of the transferor of actionable claim, the transferee of an actionable claim shall take it subject to all liabilities and equities to which the transferor was subject in respect thereof at the date of the transfer. Always at the date of this transfer is to be taken into account. On the day at which the transfer takes place, whatever rights, whatever liabilities the transferor was were in respect original transferor, whatever liabilities were there of the transferor. So that will also, those liabilities will come to the transferee. So that's why it provides that transferee on actionable claim, whether with consideration or without considering material, shall take it subject to all the liabilities and equities. What is equities? Equities has not been defined. Equity, what is fair play? This is just fair play. Equity denotes this, the habit of fairness, justness and right dealing. Justness, right dealing. Fair play. Justice, equity and good conscience. What the conscience permits. Good conscience. What it provides? So the transferee of an actionable claim shall take the actionable claim subject to all the liabilities and equities. You will take the actionable claim subject to all the liabilities and equities. Rights is not there. Here in section 132, the rights does not be solved. Liabilities and equities to which the transfer was subject in respect thereof at the date of the transfer. Not only under the law, but also under the rule of equity. If the transferor was liable for something, for some money to the debtor, then the transferee is also equally liable, like a transferor to the debtor. What it provides, illustration will make it clear. A transfer to C, a debt due to him. A transfer to C of a debt which is entitled from B. A being then indebted to B. Suppose on that day, A was indebted to B for certain amount. In such case, if C sues B for that money, in such suit, B is entitled to set off the debt due by A to him. Set off is a principle. Set off is allowed under the rule of equity. Suppose X is entitled to get some money from Y. Say entitled to get, say for 1 lakh rupees from Y. X transfer that entitlement claim to that debt to Z. So, but on the date of transfer, X had taken some money, take some money by way of loan from Y. Y is also entitled to recover certain money from X. When the action claim is transferred, in such case, if Y claims set off of any amount in respect of the debt transferred, because had the debt was, if the original creditor, that is, the transferor would have filed a suit in that against the debtor, then the debtor would have taken a plea of set off. The similar plea of set off can be taken in a suit if it is filed by the transferee. That is provided in the illustration. A transfer to sue a debt due to him by B. A being then indebted to C. Thereafter, A also indebted to B. C sues B for the debt due by A to A, B to A. In such suit, B is entitled to set off the debt due by A to him, although she was unaware of it at the date of such transfer. A executed a bond in favor of B under circumstances entitling the former to have it delivered up and cancelled. Suppose he had executed a bond under such a circumstances, that bond is liable to be cancelled. Suppose B assigns that bond, that is action claim, to C for value, and without notice of such circumstances. C cannot enforce the bond against A because under the equity, that bond is not enforceable. So when C sues, she cannot enforce because all the liabilities and equities to the which the transferor was subject in respect of that accountable also passes to the transferee. This is section 132. Now let us discuss the provisions of section 133. What is warranty of solvency of debtor? When an actionable is transferred and the person transferor gives warranty, the debtor is solvent enough to pay this money and transferring it. Such a way warranty is given, assurance is given that the debtor has sufficient money or property, he can pay the debt. Suppose the warranty has been given. In such case, if after transfer it is found that the warranty, that the debtor is not solvent enough to pay the money, then what will be there? That is, where the transfer of the debt warrants the solvency of the debtor. The debt is transferred, claim to a debt is transferred, and there is a warranty of solvency of debtor. The warranty in the absence of a contract to the contrary applies to his solvency at the time of the transfer. The warranty must be at the time when the transfer, on the very time of transfer, this debtor was solvent. And is limited where the transfer is made for consideration to the amount or value of such consideration. If a transfer has been made consideration, that warranty is limited only up to the value of consideration which has been paid. So this is not if subsequent to the date that of that transfer, the debtor is not in a position to pay the money. So this warranty will not be applicable. Here given warranty, when a debt is transferred, giving a warranty that the debtor is solvent and more to pay the money, such warranty will be only on the date of such transfer. But if after that, if that debtor has no means to pay, for that, this transfer will not be liable. Again, if a transfer has been made consideration, that warranty is limited. Where the transfer to the amount or value of such consideration, to the value of the consideration which is mortgage debt. What is mortgage debt? Suppose under here, these are the provisions regarding actionable claim. We have dealt this up to section 133, these are the actionable claims. Now mortgage debt. What is mortgage debt? Suppose a debt which is due on a mortgage. So what is where a debt is transferred for the purpose of securing an existing or future debt. Here, a debt is transferred, claim to a debt is transferred for securing the payment of a mortgage. When a debt is transferred for the purpose of securing an existing or future debt, the debt shall so transferred if received by the transferor or recovered by the transferee is applicable first in payment of the cost. So once a debt is claimed to a debt is transferred, where a debt is transferred for the purpose of securing an existing or future debt. Suppose X has indebted something from the bank. Thereafter X transferred another debt which is due to him from Y to the concerned bank. What is that? As security for payment of the mortgage. Mortgage or the securing the any future or existing debt, then the debt so transfer. If received by the transferor, suppose the transferor received that debt or recovered by the transfer, either that transferor received that debt or it is recovered by the transferee. If that debt is recovered by the transferee, is applicable first in payment of the cost of such recovery. First, whatever money is received, out of that money, first the cost of the recovery is to be paid. Secondly, toward this satisfaction of the amount for the time being secured. Second, for the time being which debt has been secured, for payment of that debt that is to be adjusted. And if balance money is left, if a residue is left, that will belong to the transferor or other person entitled to receive the same. It is a law of equity. What is it? If somebody has given a property on mortgage and that is sold for realization of the mortgage money. If mortgage money after payment of the mortgage money is some residue money is there, that will go to the mortgagor. Or if the mortgagor is dead, to his legal dependent. That is the law of equity. Equity says nobody will be unjustly reached. For nothing a person will become rich. So this is what, if any amount is realized from the property which has been given on security, and in such case, first the cost of the recovery of the proceeds, sale proceeds, cost will be incurred. There will be publication, sale, etc. First, out of that money, the cost will be paid. If then from the remaining money, the mortgage due has to be discharged, paid, and if any residue is left, that will go to the transferor or other person entitled to receive the same. Now section 135. Assignment of rights under policy of insurance against fire. You are not aware that every assignee and transfer is something Every assignee by endorsement or other writing of a policy insured against fire. Simple, only assigned by giving an endorsement. Sign, this is assigned. That is also one kind of transfer. Every assignee by endorsement or writing of a policy, a person whose name is assigned, he is called assigned. Every assignee of a fire insurance policy, in whom the property in the subject insured shall be absolutely vested at the date of the assignment. When the date of assignment, when the assignment takes place, that property is transferred, there will be assignment. Shall have transferred and vested in him all rights of suits as if the contract contained the policy had been made with him. So here, every assignee by endorsement or other writing of a policy of interest against fire, in whom the property in the subject matter insured shall be absolutely vested at the date of the assignment. On the date of assignment, with whom the property is vested. Then, in such case, that it will be treated as if the fire insurance has been transferred, shall have transferred and vested in all rights. Then that transferee is entitled as acquires gets all rights to institute a suit as if the original insurance had taken place between the transferee and the insurance company. This is section 135. Every assignee by endorsement or other writing. Assignee means some property is given. Insurance policy, the benefit of the insurance policy is given to somebody either by endorsement or by other writing of an instrument against fire, only fire insurance, whom the property in the subject insured shall be absolute. When the property is vested with another person, at the date of assignment, if on the date of assignment that property is vested, then in such case, such assignee shall have be treated as shall have transferred and vested in him all rights. It will be treated that all rights of that property has been transferred to that assignee and it has been vested in him all rights to sue as if the contract contained in the policy, as if the insurance policy had been made between the the assignee and the fire insurance company. Now 135 is repealed. 136 is a very important provision. Some persons are not competent to purchase property, to take part in purchasing property in public auction. Who are they? That is judges, legal practitioners, other officers concerned with the court of justice. They cannot buy. Or traffic. Traffic means there will not be mediation and through them property will not be purchased. Or for in a court sale, in an auction sale by court. Why? Because there is every possibility of influencing, exercising of influence by them, and they may purchase those property in auction sale, in court sale, in underprice. So that's why section 138 provides, in case of capacity of officers connected with court of justice. Some officers who are connected with the court of justice, they are incapacitated. They are not competent to purchase property in court sale. What it says? No judge, legal practitioner or officer connected with a court of justice shall buy or traffic in, personally buy or traffic in, or through whom property will go to some other person, or traffic in, or stipulate for, or agree to receive, either there will be a condition, or they may agree to receive any share of, either in share of, or interest in any actionable claim, in any, that he cannot purchase any action share of interest in any actionable claim. So no judge can purchase any actionable claim. Because once an actionable claim is to be allowed to be purchased by judges, the court officers connected with the court, so they may sue the litigation will be there. What it provides? No judge, legal practitioner means advocate or officer connected in court of justice shall buy a traffic in or stipulate for or agree to receive or they agree to receive any share of or interest in any action. So that means judge cannot become the transferee upon actionable claim. This legal practitioner cannot agree to receive a share in actionable claim or in interest in actionable claim, or any person who is connected with the affairs of in the court of justice, he cannot purchase or he cannot agree or stipulate or traffic any share or interest in action. That is prohibition. And no court of justice shall enforce at his instance or at the instance of any person claiming by or through him. So no court of justice shall enforce at his instance. His instance means that is by judge, any legal practitioner or any officer connected with the court, or at the instance of any person claiming by or through him, or at the instance of any person, suppose legal practitioner's son, daughter, judge's son, daughter, or any employee who is serving in the court through his son or daughter or wife, or at the instance of any person claiming by or through him, any action claim so dealt with by him as aforesaid. That means, at the instance of such person, the court shall not enforce any actionable claim. So that's why Section 136 prohibits the judges, the advocates, any of the officer connected with the court of justice to buy or traffic any action or any interest or share in action claim. Not only they can buy, but also the court is prohibited to enforce any claim made by such person or any other person through him on such actionable claim. This is Section 137(6). Now Section 137, that is saving of negotiable instruments. You know negotiable instrument. What is negotiable instrument? That has been defined in Negotiable Instrument Act. What it provides? Negotiable instrument is either a promissory note, bill of exchange, or a check. So here, nothing in the foregoing sections of this chapter applies to stocks, shares, or debentures, or to instruments which are for the time being by law or custom negotiable. Here, negotiable instrument, not according to the Negotiable Instrument Act, but some other instruments which are also to be treated as negotiable. Negotiable means transferable. Some instruments which are transferable. What are those instruments? Other than negotiable instruments, this promissory note, bill of exchange, check, other instruments such as there are certain documents which can be transferred as per the custom or local law, local mercantile customs. What are those? Suppose mercantile documents. What are those mercantile documents? Those are bill of lading. What is bill of lading? A bill of lading is a document acknowledging receipt of goods for trafficking those goods to ship. That is a bill of lading. Doc warrant is a document entitled authorizing a person to receive goods which have been imported from other country by somebody. That is called doc warrant. From the warehouse keeper certificate. Doc warrant, warehouse keeper certificate where the goods are kept in a godown, authorizing somebody to receive those goods. Those are warehouse certificates. So what he says, nothing in the foregoing sections of this chapter applies to stocks, shares, or debentures. Stocks, shares, and debentures. Stocks, that is company, or shares in a company, or debentures, or to instrument which are for the time being by law, custom, negotiable, or to any mercantile document of title laws. So, stock, share of a company, or transfer of share of company, the transfer property act will not be. So now, what is nothing in this foregoing section of this chapter applies to stocks, shares or debentures. So stocks or share, debenture means loan taken by the company. If that is transferred, a bond given by the company for taking loan. So here are instruments which are for the time being by law or custom negotiable. So for transfer of negotiable, if a negotiation is, that is negotiable means transferable. So certain this like this debentures, stocks, shares of a company are negotiable. Similarly, mercantile documents such as bill of lading, warehouse certificates, warehouse keeper certificate, railway receipt. So railway gives a receipt. Whoever takes the receipt, he can take delivery of these goods. Or any other document which is used as ordinary course of business as proof of the possession or control of goods. Any other document which is used to prove the possession or control of the good, authorizing or purport to authorize either by endorsement or by delivery. Those documents. If such negotiation can be made negotiable, those documents can be negotiable. First, negotiating such, but the transfer of such documents, such debentures, shares, that is mercantile documents, this provisions of transfer of property act will not be applicable. Foregoing sections of this chapter means regarding transfer of actionable claim. Regarding transfer, the provisions regarding transfer of actionable claim, giving notice of transfer, the rights and liabilities of the transferee, those are as provided for transfer in case of transfer of this actionable claim. Those provisions will not be applicable when the transfer takes place in respect of the stocks, shares or debentures of a company or any mercantile document. What is mercantile document? That has been mentioned. Explanation. The expression mercantile document of title to goods. Mercantile document title to goods means that is not mercantile document. Mercantile document of title to goods. That has been explained. Mercantile document of title to goods include a bill of lading, declarant, warehouse keeper certificate, railway receipt, warrant or order for the delivery of goods, somebody's order, and any other document used in the ordinary course of business as proof of the possession or control. Any document which is used as proof or possession of the goods, or authorizing or purport to authorize either by endorsement or by delivery the possessor of the document to transfer or receive goods thereby represented. This is section 137. Now we have completed the provision of section 130 in this Transfer of Property Act. You try to understand it. First, to make it clear, you go through the BEAR Act. Try to understand each section by interpreting the sections word by word. Then you follow a textbook which is meant for student edition, thereby will make it clear. Then you should follow a question answer series. Then for your preparation to answer in competitive examination. This is the trick. First, you have to understand the law as per the BEAR Act. After understanding the BEAR Act, you should follow a student edition book where it has been elaborately it has been taught. Thereafter you should follow the question answer books, so that you will be in a position. So far as the answer in competitive examination, you should follow the question answer books. Thank you all.